correct. I'm more comfortable on the telephone than I am at a podium. But, and I'm nervous right now. But before I start my prepared speech, there are two things that I want to mention. I don't know who heard the radio today. Adversity caused the show, first of all. And on this show, I talked about the fact that I said that I wonder how different the country would be had the media and been as kind to the opposition, PLP, as they are to the opposition, UBP. And I think that we would have a different Bermuda today if that were so. And I talked about, I talked about how they're saying that my premier is corrupt. They're saying Dame Jennifer Smith is corrupt. You all know the names that they call when they talk about BHC. And I said that, it's funny that we never read back then. And I work for the opposition, so I know what I'm talking about. We never heard, like when the opposition PLP put questions on the floor to the UBP, we never saw those questions and answers in the front page of the Royal Gazette the next day. So I was saying that, they talking about conflict of interest, and I said that when all of this stuff about BHC came forward, a gentleman came to me and told me that he worked on the prison, the new prison, and he was telling me how the late Sir John Sharp, Jack Sharp as he was known, formed a company, well he had Purvis Limited already, who supplied all the computers to the government at the time. But he formed another company so that he could put the security system in the prison. So when that company was formed, Jack Sharp got that contract. But that was not corruption nor conflict of interest. And I also talked about Sir David Gibbons, who was the premier, and how when Ms. Lois Brown Evans finally was able to get the government of the day to recognize that the opposition leader was a constitutional post and she should be so respected. And, they finally, after much begging and whatever they gave her initially, her first office was up in the House of Assembly where the UBP now uses as their coffee room, but that's where Ms. Brown's office was, and her and I had to sit in that office and do the business of the opposition. But that was okay. But in order for us, if we wanted, but even if we wanted, and Ms. Brown used to tell this story, so I'll tell it too, that even if we wanted toilet paper, that toilet paper came from Gibbons Company. So when we hear, because obviously a lot of people don't know that history, and that's why you hear the UBP, when they have their people on the talk show saying, oh, let's not go back there. They don't want to go back there because they do not want people to know the truth. So the point is, like, after I made this statement, a gentleman called in. Now, you all know, you can tell the difference between a white person and a black person on the telephone. Just like you can tell the difference between an American, you can tell if somebody's from Jamaica or whatever. So I know this was a black man, and this will show how sick some of our black people still are. So this he calls in to the show, and he says, I'm not going to say that woman is a racist dog. That's a black man talking about me defending the white UBP. Now, what can I say? That's the first thing. The second thing I want to bring to your attention, I don't know how many of you heard Hot 107 this morning, and heard the interview with Sean Crockwell. Now, one of the amazing things that Sean Crockwell says, and we have to remember that, well, we're talking about integrity, right? So, but and my legs are beginning to shake right now. One of the amazing things that Sean Crockwell said, that the UBP for 30 years had to fight the oligarchy. That's what he said. That's what he said, Sean Crockwell. He said the UBP had to fight the oligarchy. The UBP had to fight to get free education. And Sir Henry Tucker was, a friend of black people in this country. Now tell me that that is not a confused Negro, because it is. As a candidate for the Bermuda Progressive Labor Party for Constituency 20, which is now represented by Mrs. Louise Jackson. I can assure you that after the next election, the Constituency 20 will have a new representative. Now, this is not the first time I run for Parliament. I want people to know, you need to know your history. I ran for the PLP in Southampton West in 1980, and again in 1982, after John Swan called that snap election. And Sean Crockwell saying, you should, pointing to Dr. Brown, that he should have an election when the UBP wants it. That's what he said. And the thing is that he really believes that after that news story came out, that it's because of what he said that the elections will be changed from August 16th. He believes that. Anyway. Two of the reasons that fuel my passion to be a voice for justice in Bermuda for all of my adult life were my two sons, and you just heard Derek talking about them, who have now become successful adults. My passion is now fueled by my 5 grandchildren, 2 of them who are here this evening. Unlike a certain other person whose name I won't call, I was born and bred in Bermuda. And unlike that same person, my concern for my fellow Bermudians became evident long before 2003. Because I don't think anybody heard of Ms. Jackson being interested in people before 2003. Now, I always have to tell this story when I'm talking about Ms. Jackson, and it's a true story. When I worked for the Bermuda Times, the newspaper that was founded by Dr. Brown, I was also volunteering, helping children that were at the Sunshine League. So I went to Mrs. Jackson. I said, Mrs. Jackson, I have 2 little girls from the Sunshine League that I believe would benefit from having dance classes because both of their parents had died, and I think this would be something that would help them. And Mrs. Jackson's response, the lady that has all of those phone calls from all of those people, her response was that, oh, we can't afford it.